Thank you very much for joining the very first outreach webinar focused on youth engagement in the IGF 2024 processes, including the annual meeting that is coming up in December. And also beyond the IGF, we will be discussing the opportunities for the overall engagement in the IGF and internet governance, long-term speaking. I would like to say that we are recording this meeting. I hope that we have your consent, first of all, for recording it. We will make it available upon request to the community members that would like to look at the recording if they're not able to be at this meeting, and I hope you are fine with all of that. Also, I can inform you that we had close to 400 registered participants, so I assume that participants are still joining us, and that in the next couple of minutes we will see the participation numbers going higher. But out of the respect for everyone's time, we said that the webinar starts exactly at 1 p.m. UTC. I suggest that we start. There are a couple of colleagues on this call which will have an active role at this webinar. The goal of this webinar is to, first of all, as I said, present you the concrete engagement opportunities in the IGF 2024, so the intersessional work, the annual meeting that is coming up in a couple of weeks. Then we are going to speak about other engagement opportunities in the internet governance overall ecosystem for this year, but also going forward. So with that, if you don't mind, we would like to understand a little bit more about you. And of course, if we would go into individual introductions, it would take us a significant amount of time, which we don't have. However, we do have a methodology. So I suggest that we maybe all warm up for this discussion and launch a quick poll. So you can respond to a few questions. We'll share the responses with you. I think it's interesting. It will give us an opportunity to understand more about your background, about your interest in internet governance, as well as your expectation overall from this webinar. I have to give a heads up. There are a lot of us working on the youth engagement throughout the year through the IGF's mechanism, which we call the youth track. And because there are so many of us, you will be asked, I think, a significant number of questions, which will hopefully help us to learn more about you. Before I launch the poll, as I said, there will be a number of colleagues that will be speaking throughout this webinar, and they will introduce themselves. However, because this year the IGF is hosted, the annual meeting is hosted by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in December, I would like to quickly give a floor to my colleague from the host country, designated by the host country to be a representative and a liaison for youth engagement, Ms. Dua Al-Balawi, to just say a few words to greet you, and then we're going to launch the poll. Dua, please.
Thank you so much, Anya. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you're having a great Friday so far. So my name is Dua Al-Bloui, and I'm truly honored to welcome you today as the host country youth delegate for the IGF in Riyadh this year. I think your presence on this call today truly showcases the incredible interest and energy that youth in our region have in shaping our digital future. And as someone with a deep passion towards transformation in all its forms, I'm really excited to have this opportunity to, one, share a little bit about the forum, but also highlight the opportunities that it presents for young voices like ours. I think we're in for a great informative session, and I encourage all of you, first and foremost, to listen attentively, and most importantly, engage by asking questions in our Q&A portion. If you have any burning questions throughout the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll get to them at a later portion of the call. So handing back over to you, Anya.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dua. So as I said, let's warm up. I'm going to share a quick poll with you. So I hope that you are on your devices active, so you'll be able to quickly click on a possible response. Of course, it's anonymous. We don't know who's responding to what. So make sure that you're comfortable with being completely honest. And I think it's going to give us a nice foundation to understand in kind of which direction we want to facilitate this webinar against our agenda. And I hope that you now can see there are a couple of questions that I'm sharing with you. Actually, you should be able to see all of them. There are, I think, 8 questions. and I hope you can respond. So let's give it maybe 2 minutes so for all of you to respond, and then we're going to see the results. You are able to see the questions and respond. Maybe somebody could quickly confirm. Yes, I see a thumbs up. Thank you. So yes, take a minute, please. Respond. It's mostly clicking, I think, except the last one. And then we're going to see the results. I can quickly say what are the questions. So the first one is just to tell us which region you are coming from. So select your region depending where you are now, or what's your origin if you are temporarily moved somewhere. Then we're asking you what's your age group. What does the IGF stand for in terms of the acronym? What does WISS stand for? How many sessions do you think are on this year's agenda of the annual IGF meeting? Then what are your expectations to this webinar? So it's a very short response. You can just put 1-2 words, no need for long responses. But of course, if you feel to write more, you're more than welcome. Then we're going to see what is it that you think would be most useful for us to speak in the next hour. And then there is another interesting question. We're asking you, which was the first country that hosted the annual IGF meeting? And then we are asking you, I think, a very important question, whether multi-stakeholder and multilateral means the same. I'm sure the terms are more than known to you, and it would be interesting to hear your views, because that's something that we will be discussing during this webinar, as it's certainly deeply engraved in the IGF's mandate. So I'll give maybe 1 more minute, if you agree. There are close to 40 responses now, so that's very good. I invite other colleagues to also respond, and then we'll see the final results. We're interested in especially regional participation on this webinar. Age diversity is very important to the IGF. I think this pool will help us understand. And then these minor questions which relate to the IGF and the UN mechanisms overall, I think your responses will tell us how much focus we want to put on these terms once we go into introductions about the concept of the IGF and then focus on this year's activities. So I hope that we can have at least 50 responses. For now, we have 43. So let's ask these 7 other colleagues that have not responded to respond. I'm giving maybe a couple more seconds so you can finalize your responses, and then we're going to see the results. I hope 4 more persons can respond. And then we're going to go straight into the discussions. I just want to tell you that the format of this webinar, we've been planning it for quite a long time now as a group that's behind the youth track. And I certainly will speak more about the composition of that group later. But these preparations were extremely important to us. And our idea was always to make this interactive. So we're hoping that we will be, speaking less. You will be speaking more, as especially if you are, to an extent, newcomer to these processes. If maybe Riyadh IGF will be the very first annual IGF meeting that you'll be participating in. 49 total responses, 50 total responses. I will end the poll in 6 seconds, starting to count now and show you the results. So ending the poll now. And let's see, I'm sharing the results. I don't know if you see it. So the biggest number of participants are indeed coming from the African region, followed by Asia and Europe, by Middle East as well. In terms of the age group, the biggest number of participants is between 25 and 30 years old. In terms of what the IGF stands for, good job, Internet Governance Forum, 88%. What does the WISS stand for? World Summit on the Information Society, 66%. Thank you very much. That is indeed the correct response. How many sessions do you think are on the IGF agenda? This is a very interesting balance here, and we'll talk about it later. But I want to take the note that I think the biggest number of you think it's more than 100. I think if we just sum up this, most of you think that it's less than less than 200 for sure. And let me tell you the response a little bit later. I think you will be surprised. In terms of I'll come back to this question about your expectations for the webinar, but I want to go to number 7. The first IGF host country, 68% of you said that it was Greece. There's some support for Kenya and India. All of them were indeed the host countries, but yes, you are correct. Greece is the very first one. We had a meeting in Athens. And then indeed, you said it well, multi-stakeholder and multilateral are not synonymous terms. They certainly complement each other, but there is a significant difference, and we will be talking about that shortly. I want to see these details in terms of what you said about your expectation. And let me just see. I will stop sharing now because I think I can only read it. So interesting what you're saying, to learn, to practice, to share, travel support, more youth engagement, inclusivity. I'm excited, looking forward to get clarification on visa issues. That's a good point. To learn more about what happens at the IGF, opportunities, understanding youth engagement, great engagement with fellow youth, networking, knowing more about the youth track, hear about the opportunities. Very interesting. Learn about AI, some of you said. Which area I can be involved of the IGF, what are the gaps where I can volunteer as a young person. And then, yes, to understand our role and how to participate as a Saudi youth. So this will be interesting for Dua as well. Good, so that's very interesting. Thank you very much. I think it's expected to have the biggest number of participants coming from the African region. Let's not forget, out of all the continents, Africa is the youngest continent in terms of the youth participation. I think that's the biggest asset probably of the region, or among the biggest. And we are certainly feeling it in the IGF ecosystem. So I want to give that recognition to wonderful organized participation coming from this region. But I have to say other regions are really not behind at all. We are having a very nice inclusion coming from all parts of the world, and thank you for that. Good. Let me start maybe quickly by sharing a couple of just slides in terms of the IGF structure. What is it about? Especially because many of you, it seems, are indeed newcomers to the IGF one way or another. So perhaps that would be useful. Then I'm going to give floor to Dua, because Dua will be telling us more about this vision of the host country for the IGF this year. We have been, deep into preparations, and there are some really specific approaches to this year's IGF thanks to the host country. So we'll be hearing from Dua also more about where are we going in December in Riyadh, what to expect, especially in terms of internet governance. So let me maybe start quickly. I will share with you a few slides just to introduce briefly the structure of the IGF so that you know who is working for all of you to deliver on the IGF's activities. And let me see if I can share my screen. I think I'm sharing probably my whole screen. Good, so hopefully you can see the slides. You will signal me if not. So let me briefly go. We already in the pool responded to the concept of the WISIS. It seems to me there is a good knowledge about what is the World Summit on the Information Society. I will later tell you why it hasn't been important this much before to know about the WISIS as this year, just because we are in a really, really important, historic momentum with respect to the WISIS processes. Briefly, the IGF is one of the major outcomes of the World Summit on the Information Society as a United Nations process that was hosted in two phases in 2003 and 2005 in Geneva and Tunisia. During these processes, the internet already became, big and integrated into people's lives. And what was noticed is that it's impacting quite a lot of activities in our life and does not necessarily have defined or described way it's governed, including the associated tools and services. So to bridge that gap, the community, meaning multi-stakeholder community, not just the member states, but also others, and this is a very important fact, requested the Secretary General of the United Nations to, first of all, define or describe this internet governance concept, and then to establish a forum which could serve people from around the world in terms of governing the internet and associated tools and services. So this really historic long period of time resulted in the Secretary General establishing a working group on internet governance, who came up with a definition on internet governance. And then in 2006, at the time, the Secretary General Kofi Annan convened the Internet Governance Forum, which has its mandate in the Tunis Agenda on the Information Society. Internet governance in early 2000s and ever, since then until now, has been defined and described as the development and application by all stakeholders in their respective roles of shared principles, norms, rules, decision-making procedures, and programs that shape the evolution and use of the internet. We use the term internet. Now, these days, you can certainly see that we have technically synonymous, using digital governance, for example, a term, but essentially really comes down to this definition that you can see. Once again, I confirm what majority of you said. The very first annual IGF meeting after the Secretary General convened it took place in late October, early November in Athens, in Greece, in 2006. The structure of the IGF is certainly everything but simple. It's, as you know, the heart of the IGF is a multi-stakeholder model. That's why it's important that it serves as a platform to all stakeholders, all people, all institutions from around the world, as their place where they can come as equals and discuss issues that are of their priority related to internet governance. And in order for the forum to deliver on that ambitious, not an easy agenda at all, but very important globally, there is a complex structure which supports delivering on this mandate. The heart of that structure, I would say, is the IGF Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group, also the IGF Leadership Panel, and the IGF Secretariat that supports neutrally facilitation of this process. The Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group is appointed every year by the Secretary General of the United Nations. Its main task is to advise the Secretary General on the program and agenda of the annual meeting. There is the MAG, in short, is composed of 40 members. It has a chair. This year, that's Ms. Carol Roach, coming from the government of Bahamas. The chair's position also rotates, so we are always trying to have inclusion in terms of the gender, but also in terms of the stakeholder groups, background, and so on. The leadership panel, likewise, is a multi-stakeholder high-level group that is whose main task is to make the IGF more impactful. So it's working on its strategies to support that objective. It is composed of 15 members, balanced across regions, stakeholder groups, disciplines, of course, gender as well. Previous host country, current host country, and the next year's host country are ex officio members of the leadership panel, as well as the MAG chair and the Secretary General's envoy on technology. The chair of the leadership panel is Mr. Vint Cerf, known as the father of the internet, and I'm sure a well-known face that you can see on this screen. The IGF Secretariat is the office where I'm addressing you today from, and it is based in Geneva at the United Nations Office for Europe in Switzerland. Core principles of the IGF as mandated in the Tunis Agenda is that it's an open process, multi-stakeholder, bottom-up, inclusive, transparent, non-commercial, and as such, community-centered. At the beginning, I was referring to the IGF as a process. There are a couple of components. Of course, probably the most known to all of you is the annual IGF meeting. Dua will be speaking about this year's annual IGF meeting. It's hosted every year by a different government. And everything happening in between the two annual meetings is what we call the intersessional work. It takes different forms on different topics. It follows the demand from the community. Therefore, we are defining the topics from one IGF cycle to another. And I will shortly speak to you about what are the 2024 activities you can be engaged. These are all the host countries so far of the annual IGF editions. As you can see, we've toured the globe a couple of times. And this year we are indeed going in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh in December. The IGF, certainly, the annual meeting itself is very dynamic. Thousands and thousands of participants come, and across 5 days, it's really a wonderful opportunity to learn about internet governance issues, practices, opportunities existing across the world, and to exchange them and inspire each other so that we can have our communities strive toward a more brighter digital future for all community members. Now, I want to quickly stop here. I would like to give floor to Dua to invite her to tell us more about this year's annual IGF meeting. And then we're going to continue with the intersessional work. You can, in the meantime, prepare your questions. We will be happy to take them after we deliver on the presentation. Dua, please, you have the floor.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Anya, for the great intro. We could move on to the next slide. So as Anya has highlighted, the Internet Governance Forum is the UN's premier platform for dialogue on internet policy. And I'm really excited to say that in 2024, for the first time, this global forum is coming to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Now, this year's event will be hosted from the 15th till the 19th of December in King Abdulaziz International Conference Center in Riyadh. And for everyone who was anticipating less than 100 sessions, I would like to say you're in for a treat. We actually have over 300 sessions being held in a hybrid format. So there's on-site sessions that will also be available online. So I'm really hoping that we could see many of you there in order to contribute towards the theme of this year's IGF, which is building our multi-stakeholder digital future. And this year, we will be focusing on enhancing digital contribution to peace, development, and sustainability, especially in light of the current global geopolitical landscape, which is a topic of the utmost importance right now in the region. Additionally, it will also cover advancing human rights and inclusion in the digital age, which is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart personally, as well as harnessing innovation and balancing risks in the digital space and improving digital governance for the internet that we want. Now, of course, this event is being organized by a multitude of entities here in the kingdom, which you can see in the logos below, and we're working very, very hard to successfully launch this event, and we really hope to see many of you there. So Anya, if you can move on to the next slide. I'm sure many of you are wondering why Saudi Arabia to host the IGF. So as a proud Saudi national myself, I firmly believe that Saudi Arabia's selection as the IGF 2024 host is a true testament to our nation's remarkable digital transformation journey. So if you will allow me, would like to share some exciting achievements that highlight why we're uniquely positioned to host this global dialogue. So first, on our digital leadership, it has gained international recognition. We're now ranked second globally in digital competitiveness amongst G20 countries, with a very impressive 99.5% of our digital government services being offered through our unified national platform. Now, I would just like to highlight that this isn't merely a statistic. It represents a real change in how our citizens today interact with government services. Now, our digital infrastructure, on the other hand, tells a very equally compelling story. We've built one of the world's fastest 5G networks, reaching nearly 90% of our population. And this robust infrastructure has truly allowed us to support a thriving ecosystem of digital innovations that have fundamentally changed and transformed our lives in Saudi Arabia. So these advancements have allowed us to become pioneers in digital services. And I have some examples on the right-hand side of the slide here to showcase some of our key achievements. And I believe if some of our Saudi colleagues on the call are very familiar with these. But first, we have our Sahati platform that has revolutionized healthcare access, facilitating over 16 million medical appointments booked digitally. Now, Upshur, on the other hand, which is what you could see in the middle of the slide, has simplified government services for over 23 million users, while platforms such as Ihsan, which is the last one on the bottom, are digitizing charitable donations to support the local community, which has raised over $1 billion in donations since its launch. Now, these achievements reflect not just our technological advancement, but a fundamental shift in how we approach digital solutions to address and solve social challenges. Anya, if you could move on to the next slide. I've seen in some of the responses, what can we anticipate, right, from the IGF? What's its potential impact? So for the digital economy in the sector, this forum creates a very valuable opportunities to advance knowledge on digital transformation topics, from policy development all the way to their practical implementation. And it will help attract and develop digital talent while fostering very crucial public-private partnerships. And most importantly, it brings Saudi stakeholders together to address local digital transformation challenges, from gaming, for example, which is a very hot topic in the region right now, to digital content localization. For Saudi Arabia specifically, IGF is our platform to, one, highlight our contributions to global policy issues, but also showcase our digital transformation journeys, as I've highlighted in the previous slide, and present the world with the lessons learned. It positions our kingdom not just as a regional technology hub, but also as a leader in digital governance, allowing us the opportunity to strengthen our collaboration with international actors on very crucial digital policy issues. Now, expanding and looking at our wider region, and I'm really happy to see the diversity of our attendees today, the IGF creates a very unique opportunity to focus on regional policy priorities and further strengthen our collaboration on critical issues such as digital education, inclusion, as well as AI ethics. And through these collaborative efforts from digital government leaders across the Middle East and North Africa, we can work together to bridge the digital inclusion gap, but also unlock our region's full digital potential. And what excites me most, of course, are the opportunities that it brings for youth like yourselves here. So you'll have direct access to global tech leaders, as well as the ability to build your own personal networks with peers from around the world. And I just want to stress that this isn't necessarily just about attending. It's about actively influencing the future of digital policies. And through the workshops and discussions that we have organized, you'll gain exposure to the technology ecosystem, its latest trends, but also very invaluable knowledge transfer opportunities that can contribute towards your own personal and professional development. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about Saudi Arabia and our contributions and what to expect from the IGF. And now I'll be handing back to my colleague, Anya.
Dua, thank you very much. This is really exciting. I can confirm, as somebody who has been, more than once in Riyadh and had close communication with our host country and some community members, is that really it's so exciting when you translate all this that Dua just said into practice that is so visible and tangible there. The country is really, and the region overall, striving and very much focused on digitalization. You can really see it around. We have seen their virtual hospitals and virtual courts. So it's a very interesting way of approaching digitalization. And I'm hoping that you will indeed be experiencing that if you will be joining us for the IGF in Riyadh from 15th to 19th of December. Let me just quickly tell you about what is the IGF's program about this year in December. Also a few words about the intersessional work. Then I would like us to just make a very, very quick pause to see if you have any questions about the December meeting before we go into other opportunities of engagement during the IGF in December, but organized by other colleagues that are our close partners and certainly stakeholders we cooperate with. The quiz asked you, how many sessions do you think the IGF's agenda for this year's annual meeting has? I think the majority of you said somehow between 100 and 200. So let me surprise you. The IGF's agenda this year has more than 300 different sessions. Some of the session types, almost all, are available at the IGF website. There is a draft schedule already. Dua showed you and spoke a little bit about the sub-teams It's very, very diverse. And you can see the types of sessions here that I'm sharing on the screen. What's the first step if you are interested to take active participation in some of the sessions? The first step is to register yourself for the IGF in December, be it online or on-site participation, and then to go to the IGF website to the schedule, and then look at the sessions that are of your interest and connect with the session organizers. The IGF Secretariat is really at your disposal. We are happy to connect you with the session organizers to understand how can you take active participation, given the fact that all IGF sessions are really of interactive, multi-stakeholder nature. They are inclusive. There are always times which are reserved during the session for open dialogue with everyone, not just those who are speaking, for example, at the round table or panel. So this is about the session. I want to speak quickly about something that we are working on since early this year. That is the IGF 2024 Youth Track. It is organized by the IGF Secretariat, by the host country, by several youth IGFs. And so all these initiatives have designated focal points. We have to say we do work hard. I'm not saying that it's challenging. It's actually quite a joy to work with all the colleagues. But I say we are working hard since the beginning through online consultations and various other mechanisms. The bottom-up process of preparing for the youth track this year resulted in youth calling for the track to be focused on artificial intelligence and its governance. Therefore, the motto of all the activities under the youth track is empowering young leaders for trusted AI. This is a scheme of overall IGF youth track. It's really a network of stakeholders, youth, young leaders, first of all, from around the world, that are working on unpacking this important topic of AI governance. At the major regional IGFs, we use the disadvantage that these meetings are hosted on site and online. So we are hosting their capacity development workshops, which are unpacking particular issues of interest to the global youth. Through this workshop, everything then feeds into a set of messages that feeds into the Global Youth Summit that will be organized this year at the annual IGF meeting, and we will be speaking about it in the coming minutes. Certainly, if you come to the IGF, or if you engage in this process and you want to be a participant on these workshops that I mentioned, and I will be speaking about this workshop later, there are various opportunities at the IGF in Riyadh. I was mentioning some of them, and I just want to say that in addition to all these more than 300 sessions of different types, which really call for your engagement, there is, of course, the summit that I mentioned, but there are other sessions. Some of them are youth-focused. My colleagues later will speak about them. They are on the agenda. There is also the IGF Village. It's space, really the heart of the venue, I would say, composed of 80 exhibition booths that are organized by different stakeholders, organizations coming from around the world, where they are presenting their internet governance-related work. And it's a wonderful networking opportunity, first of all. The setup of the IGF Village goes throughout the meeting, and it is really central at the venue. If you are unable to join us in Riyadh for the on-site meeting, all sessions, of course, are backed with online participation opportunity, and so is the IGF Village. So there is a way to walk virtually the IGF Village and to connect with the session, the booth organizers to understand more about their work and where you can cooperate. I won't speak about the Youth Summit now because I would like our co-moderator to speak later about it. But I just want to say one important component, and then I will briefly say about the international work and conclude on this first part. If, for example, you are unable to come to Riyadh and you would like to participate online, and there are maybe more of you in your place of living, then we do encourage you to perhaps consider organizing a remote hub. It's a very good way of an organized participation from the comfort of your office or space that you find available. We do provide support substantively the remote hubs, and usually at every IGF there are at least around 50, I would say on average, remote hubs placed everywhere in the world where communities come together and in an organized way participate in the sessions of interest. We are this year very much focused on capacity development. This is something that is mandated by the Tunis agenda, and the IGF certainly is doing its best to fulfill that mandate. Our strategic effort is to engage private sector better in the IGF, parliamentarians and judiciary as well. We are working closely with newcomers as the first-time participants in one annual IGF meeting. And we are working, as I mentioned, closely with young people. We cooperate closely with schools on internet governance, with national and regional and youth IGFs from around the world. There is also some travel support that the host country provides to the Global South participants. And we had a call for this year's IGF, which closed in September. We expect to announce those who will be receiving this type of support next week. Finally, I would like to conclude on this. I mentioned the intersessional work as a series of activities happening throughout the year. But let me tell you for 2024, listening to the community that every year responds to our public call for inputs, the MAG and all the structures involved in the IGF's organization, so that the priority is with cybersecurity, access and connectivity, artificial intelligence, internet fragmentation. And this is why best practice forums and policy networks this year are focused on these topics. These are basically networks of stakeholders working together, facilitated by dedicated facilitators from the MAG and, of course, with the IGF Secretariat neutrally facilitating the overall process, where the communities are trying to look at the particular issues, discuss them, put together good and not so good practices, and then inspire all of us for a way forward on the topic. These BPFs and policy networks, they have their regular online meetings, other forms of consultations, and of course, dedicated sessions at the annual IGF meeting before they result in concrete output documents, which are published on the IGF website and disseminated broadly. Likewise, dynamic coalitions, they exist throughout the year, and some of them are really in existence for more than a decade. You can see some of the topics, they are issue-focused, where multi-stakeholder communities work throughout the year on issues of the interest, such as, for example, blockchain or child rights online or domain name system or digital economy and so on. So everything you need to do is to explore the IGF website, reach out to the IGF Secretariat, and we would be happy to guide you through the way of inclusion. My last point, I mentioned the NRIs, National, Regional, Sub-Regional, and Youth IGFs. This is the network of local IGFs that developed organically over the past almost 2 decades. As you can see, they exist across the world, and they are our major partners, where we have the multi-stakeholder organizing committees in countries and regions working for their communities to establish a platform for discussion of digital public policy issues based on the demand from their communities. Many of them exist. Next week, we will be at the LAC IGF, Latin America and the Caribbean IGF, both the regional and the youth one. We just recently had, for example, the Australian IGF. So it's quite vibrant. Every day is an IGF. And I really encourage you to explore whether there is an NRI in your country. Let me maybe stop here. I will later, time permitting, speak to you a little bit about 3 important processes that are happening at the UN level. You can see already on the slide about WSIS Plus 20, and that's why I said it's such an important year for the WSIS processes, about the Global Digital Compact, about the Agenda for Sustainable Development. But for now, I would like us maybe to make a pause here So we've shared quite a lot of content with you. I haven't been following the chat carefully, but that's not a concern because we have excellent online moderators. Omar and Levi are helping us to monitor and moderate the chat. So please do post in the chat your questions or any comments, or if you would like to introduce yourself, that is most welcome. I am now making a minute, 2 minutes maybe pause, because I would like to see if you have any questions or comments on the content presented so far before we go into the second part where our colleagues who are organizers of various activities at the IGF in December will be telling you more about their work and how to engage in these processes. So giving the floor to you, you can raise your hand or maybe indicate in the chat if you would like to take the floor for a question or comment before we proceed with the agenda.
I think, Anya, as we're waiting for the questions to roll in the chat, maybe Levi and Omar can give us a little bit of an introduction.
Yes, of course. Excellent idea. Our online co-moderators, Omar, Levi, please, you have the floor for a quick introduction.
Good afternoon. I hope I'm audible enough on your end. I'm Levi Siansega with the Youth IGF movement and also part of the Zambia Youth IGF. Omar is my co-online moderator who will be helping us reading some of the questions in the chat for this first part before we go to the next one. Omar, over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Omar, and I am the co-moderator with Levi. I work as a policy advocate. I research and write policy in AI for in-court justice, and I'm excited to see the questions you guys have.
Thank you so much, both Levi and Omar. I see that our colleague Daniel as well, he works very actively with the IGF youth track and coming from affiliated with the Italian IGF. So he is also helping us in the chat to respond to some of your questions. And I thank sincerely Daniel for that. Daniel, if you want to take the floor just to say a few words to introduce yourself. Thanks for supporting Levi and Omar.
Hi, everyone. I'm Daniele Turra. Thank you, Anya, for the very brief introduction. I was one of the Internet Society Youth Ambassador in 2023. And after that very sweet program, I learned a lot and I'm still engaging with the community. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your introduction. Good. I don't see any raised hands. Please continue then posting your comments, chats, observations in the comments, questions, and observations in the chat. Omar and Levi and Daniela are on the task to respond to you. We'll also try to respond verbally wherever we can. But let's maybe now move forward. There is a second part of this.
Yes. So we have, I think, about 3 questions in the chat. There are 2 that I can easily read, though I think I may hand over to Omar for the other one. There's one that I think should be Spanish, which I can't quite read, and I don't have a quick online translator on my end. So maybe for the Spanish, if that's okay, maybe we can call Jose Cristavio to maybe ask the question, possible maybe in English, unless we have someone who can translate in Spanish. But for the first question we have in the chat, Omar, I don't know if you've seen the question from me, or maybe I can ask it, then you can take the next one. What are the opportunities offered for the youth to volunteer? For example, could it be possible that youth in general and youth take part in the IGF Youth Mentoring Program act as rapporteur for the sessions they will attend in person? I think that's the question that I've seen. The other one was about travel support, which I think Danielle has responded in the chat.
Thank you very much. Omar, were there any questions that you would like to bring, or that's all?
No, I think these are all the questions for now.
Thank you so much. I think for the travel support, Daniela already posted. We had travel support call open until 10th of September. So the deadline has passed for applying for the travel support. We are in a process of final stages of internal processing, and we believe that we will inform all applicants about the status of their travel support request as soon as possible next week. So we are hoping by mid of next week you should hear from us. To get active role at the IGF, such as to volunteer and support, maybe as rapporteur, yes, that is possible. Of course, it requires some logistics and consultations internally on our side. But if you will be in Riyadh, please reach out to the Secretariat, and we will be happy to explore possible roles for your engagement. Just for your information, we are trying internally, for example, to facilitate intergenerational dialogue, but also cooperation, so between young people and more senior, let's say, stakeholders. And so we are always trying to ensure that young people have meaningful participation roles in the program components, be it the sessions or some other activities happening at the IGF. There are many social networking opportunities as well that you may not necessarily see on the schedule, but on another page, which we can share later with you. So please reach out to the Secretariat. We'll be happy to explore this further with you and with the session organizers. Good. If there are no more questions, then I would like us to move forward.
Thank you, Andrea. We have another question in the chat.
Do you mind reading it? Because I'm getting a lot of...
Are there opportunities to be involved as a youth ambassador for the IGF? And if there are, how could one apply?
So I would say yes. It could be, there is this terminology that's used with other organizations, and I know our colleague at the Internet Society are doing wonderful work on this. So we will be having our colleague from the ISOC Foundation, I think, to speak about this program. So allow me to reserve this when Tori later takes the floor, and then I will complement from the IGF side in terms of the roles, how you can help us to promote the IGF through that ambassadorial role. So I hope this is fine, just a little bit of patience, and certainly we will address this very important question as it is on our agenda. Good. So if there are no more questions in this first block, I would like us to move forward. And let me tell you how this second part will look like. Dua and myself, we will not be talking that much. It will be other colleagues who will be speaking. We would like to tell you more about other concrete opportunities for engagement at the IGF in December, but organized by other colleagues that are our partners, other organizations and initiatives. And let me start firstly by, for example, exhausting maybe the upcoming activities of the youth track. So this is something that, the IGF Secretariat is involved, as well as the host country, and as I said, so many youth IGFs. We hosted 2 capacity development workshops so far in conjunction with the regional IGFs at Eurodig and also at the Asia Pacific IGF. The upcoming ones, we have 2 more, are hosted in conjunction with the Latin American and the Caribbean IGF, the youth one, and also with the African IGF. And so let me see if on this call we have our colleague Umut, who coordinates together with a couple of other colleagues the Latin American and the Caribbean Youth IGF, for a very brief just introduction and announcement of what is this workshop about, when it will be hosted, and how you can participate online if you are not on site in Santiago de Chile. Umut, just checking whether we have you to say a few words. I don't think so. I know that Umut had some challenges connecting. If not, I wonder if anyone else would like to say a few words. If not, I am happy to quickly remind about when is this workshop hosted. I don't see anyone. So let me briefly tell you. 5th of November, that's Tuesday, the Youth LAC IGF will be hosted in Santiago in Chile. And at the University de Chile at 5 p.m. UTC, we will be having a capacity development workshop focused on the human rights in the age of AI. This is an intergenerational dialogue where we will be discussing the most important human rights implications of this very important topic. the information about how to connect to this session, if you're not in Chile, is communicated and will be again communicated through the IGF Youth mailing list, which is open to everyone to join. And I will be posting the link in the chat so that you can subscribe if you're not already on it. That's for the Youth Like IGF. So already next week, we are excited about that workshop. It's fully prepared. And then we have the very last workshop, which will be hosted at the African IGF. And I would like to invite my colleague Keith from the African IGF to just tell us a few words about what is this workshop about, what to expect, and when it's going to be hosted, how to connect. Keith is here. It's just, yes, we can hear you now.
Yes. Good evening and good afternoon, friends and colleagues. My name is Keith Vandere from the African IGF. The African IGF is a cumulative process that is happening on the 20th, technically from the 14th to the 22nd of November, where we will be starting with the African School of Internet Governance from the 14th to the 20th, and then to the 19th, and then we'll have the 0 day of the Africa IGF, where we will have the Africa Youth IGF. I think, Anya, we are also very proud, not only are we many in this call, like you've said, but I think Africa also prides itself in, being founded in 2019 as the same year that the Global Youth Track, was actually founded in Berlin. So we're very pleased and very happy that we'll be holding our 6th edition in Addis Ababa on the 20th, which is, in hybrid format. And colleagues here are happy, and, invited to join in. Those who will be able to come to Addis, we'll be happy to have you. Those who will be able to connect online from Africa and from other regions. I would be very pleased to even hear some of the ideas, that we'll be having, and very dynamic, African youth who will be present there. We'll also have the parliamentary track on the same day. I think, again, this is something that Africa prides itself, given that this process started sometime in 2020. I remember it was in Niger parliamentary, in the parliament, when this conversation on the 20th, as well as the 4th workshop of the Global Youth Track IGF, which again will be focusing on artificial intelligence. We have the concept note ready. We have collectively in an open, inclusive process, worked on the agenda and nominating colleagues who will be there. It will also happen in a hybrid format. We are happy to share all of these details from the mailing list, which I'm very positive that towards the end, Anya and colleagues will also be sharing how to connect to the Youth IGF mailing list if you're not there. As I finish up, I've talked about the Africa IGF. Again, it will be happening on the 21st and the 22nd in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, hosted by the UNECA, the United Nations Economic Commissions for Africa, which is the regional UN office, in conjunction with the African Union. Again, it will happen in a hybrid format, and the registration is still ongoing. We are happy to have more participants, in Africa and those from different regions to connect and, to hear about the different sessions that will be coming up. I think the different sessions will be announced later this week. So we are also happy to maybe in the next week share the detailed agenda that will have quite diverse, sessions being organized by different colleagues that we can also engage and carry forward these conversations on different aspects that we've been having. Thank you so much, Anya. I'm happy to, answer any questions. I know that we still have colleagues who've played, different roles in organizing both the Global Youth Track as well as the African Youth IGF and the African IGF. Some of the MAG members are here. So if they have any additions, I'm happy to ask them to put it in the chat, and our online moderators can, just flag those comments out. Thank you so much, Anya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Keith. This is so exciting, what you are preparing for all of us in Addis. And I certainly encourage everyone, if you are able to go to the African IGF, please do. It's incredibly vibrant. I had really a pleasure to be at a couple of the meetings on site, and it's wonderful. Likewise, for the Latin American and the Caribbean IGF, it's just the deadline might be too tight as it's already next week. Thank you so much, Keith. I also thank Nicolas for posting the Youth Like IGF and Like IGF details in the chat. I would like us maybe to conclude on the youth track activity. So we spoke about the 2 upcoming workshops. The very last activity of the track is the Global Youth Summit, which will be organized, which is organized by this multi-stakeholder working group at the annual IGF meeting in Riyadh in December. It's an intergenerational dialogue, quite a high level, I would say, participation from those who will be setting the stage. But I'm very fortunate to give the floor to one of the co-moderators of the Youth Summit, Ihita, our dear colleague who coordinates the Youth Indian IGF and has other roles for sure. Ihita will be telling us more about the summit, what to expect, why is it so exciting, I think, to be there, but also why is it so important to be there, given also the topic and the format that the summit is following. Ihita, please, you have the floor.
Perfect, Tanya. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I am Ahita Gangavarpu, the coordinator of India Youth IGF. As the co-moderator of the upcoming IGF 2024 Global Youth Summit, I'm pleased to invite each of you to register and participate. This summit is actually a cornerstone of the IGF 2024 Youth Track, and it will take place on the 15th of December in a hybrid format from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, under the motto, a very important and a very relevant motto, which is empowering young leaders for trusted AI. You can join us in person, remotely, and also through a remote hub if available. So the discussions will be centered around a very relevant topic, which is AI in education, intergenerational cooperation for a responsible digital future. Now, this has been developed through consistent bottom-up consultations, ensuring the integration of the perspective of young people. Now, through intergenerational deliberations, including current and the future leaders, we will come together at the Global Youth Summit to examine AI's role in education and engage in a dynamic dialogue on critical and key policy questions surrounding AI's impact on education, any associated challenges, and the ways education systems can evolve to prepare society for an AI-driven future. So with this, I warmly invite each of you to join us, share your insights, and participate in these critical discussions, contributing to our collective effort to shaping the future of internet governance at the IGF 2024 Global Youth Summit. I'm happy to take any questions, or if you have any thoughts in the chat, then I'll request my dear colleagues who are co-moderating today's discussion to help me out with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ihita. Really exciting. And it's really, as you said, a unique opportunity where young people will be speaking to and with other young people from around the world, but also ministers, of CEOs of companies and ambassadors and other profiles, which are very important and are making decisions for all of us on digital public policy. So good. We have on the Youth Summit very good introduction by Ihita. This concludes the activities on the youth track. There are other activities important for young people happening at the IGF in December. And I would like to invite one of our dynamic coalitions focused on youth, Youth Coalition on Internet Governance. And I believe Ananda, as its representative of this network, is with us on a call to tell us what's the plan for the December. And later we'll also hear again from Ananda on what are the plans for after 2024. But Ananda, please, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Anya, for the floor. I hope I'm audible. If you don't know about Youth Coalition on Internet Governance, it is one of the dynamic coalition that is focused on youth engagement within the IGF framework, and Youth Coalition on Internet Governance leaders are always helping to shape the issues of young people during the IGF and after the IGF and in the intersessional workshops. So for this year, we had partnerships with Youth Standing Group, Inter-Society Youth Standing Group, to prepare young people for submitting proposals for the IGF, and we are also creating kind of repository where you can find what are the sessions that will be led by young people during the IGF. We'll be sharing that. And another is we will also have our presence at the IGF village with dynamic teen coalition, where you will have networking opportunities and other opportunities. And currently YCIG is also collaborating to promote youth-led sessions with the promotional materials, and we are working on that. And another activity we are doing is we are also collaborating with IGF Secretariat so that we can prepare one document that will guide young people how they can engage throughout the IGF process. Either it is your first time attending Global IGF, and what are the activities you can engage beyond the youth track, and what are the sessions you can be part of, which sessions will be led by youth, and what are the other related sessions that you can attend. And we also are trying to collaborate with host country and IGF Secretariat if we can explore some affordable accommodation options for young participants so that we can ensure there are no financial constraints to attend the IGF 2024. And there are many other activities. I think my colleague from Youth Standing Group will also be sharing, and we have Sabha is also here. We will, and we have one webinar with ICANN. I think Sabha will describe about this later on. So this is the much for right now. If there are any questions, or like if you want to, if you are attending Global IGF and if you are young people, we also have a Telegram group where we facilitate what young people can engage on and what are the activities. So you can join that Telegram group if you want the link. Maybe my colleagues from Youth Standing Group and YCIG can help you out. Thank you. Thank you, Anne.
Ananda, thank you so much. This is really a lot of concrete channels for engagement. I certainly confirm the YCIG has been incredibly active and really with great achievements over the past couple of years. So I just invite Ananda and other members of YCIG to post relevant information, especially contact information, in the chat so that you can use them and follow up on that. Good. So with thanks to Ananda, there is another dynamic coalition that is focused specifically on working with teens, with teenagers. And it's very important to us just because everyone now are connected to the internet. Children have phones, they are connected to the network. Teenagers are certainly in a very in a specific age group and certainly at the crossroad in terms of certain life choices. So it's very important to pay attention and to work with that target group. Dynamic Coalition on Teens is very much successful in that. I would like to give floor to Omar and is it Catherine, yes, to tell us more about the DTC, especially focusing on the activities in Riyadh in which teenagers, but also others can engage through your Dynamic Coalition.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me the floor. So good morning, afternoon, everyone. I am Omar Farooq, an 18-year-old youth advocate from Bangladesh, representing Dynamic Teen Coalition by IGF. So our coalition is dedicated to empowering young people to shape the digital future. And we have been actively involved in shaping global tech policies, including Global Digital Compact, Pact for the Future, and the Declaration on Future Generations at the UN headquarters from their beginning. So as one of the youngest panelists in these UN processes, I have ensured that the voices of young people are heard at the highest level of global governance. We are also among very few DCs making significant contributions to the policy network on meaningful access and policy network on artificial intelligence reports. Our unique perspective as young people has allowed us to identify critical gaps and propose innovative solutions to address the challenges posed by emerging technologies. Now, we are excited to announce our upcoming panel discussion at IGF 2024 in Riyadh in partnership with Youth Coalition on Internet Governance. So this panel will focus on artificial intelligence, BCIs, quantum and robotics, identifying innovative educational strategies and career pathways that adapt to these technologies. We invite you to join us and engage a thought-provoking discussion on the future of technology. And now I would like to ask Catherine Page, one of our teammates at the DTC, to talk about one of our projects named DTC Friends and share our Linktree link. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Catherine,
My name
over
is
to you.
Catherine Page. I'm the Director of Community Planning at Dynamic Teen Coalition, IGF, and I am thrilled to share that we are developing our new exciting initiative, Friends of DTC. The program is designed to empower young people to shape internet governance and use AI responsibly through our structured cohorts in our new Discord community. We're facilitating impactful discussions on policy, AI, and offering hands-on learning opportunities like our certificate program, content creation, and insights into AI. As we work to build out this initiative, we're integrating AI-driven chatbots, content creation aids, and enhancing member engagement. Soon, our Friends of DTC will be transitioning to a more hands-on role and working with our board. If you're interested in joining the work of DTC or interested in joining our Friends of DTC program, which more information will be coming out soon, I'm going to go ahead and link our Linktree to provide you with all the information that you need about DTC, our Friends program, and what we have been doing so far.
Thank you so much, Omar and Catherine, and thank you for posting the connection information in the chat as well. Let me see, we've heard from Omar and Catherine. I want to hear about maybe 2 more initiatives before we make a pause, because we would like to see if you have any questions, and then we're going to continue with this engagement opportunities beyond 2024. So I think on our call, I hope we have our colleague Jenna from the Youth Asia Pacific IGF, but also Net Mission program, to tell us more about what the Net Mission will be doing at the IGF in Riyadh and what are the engagement opportunities for all of us.
Thanks, Anya. Thanks, everyone. My name is Jenna Feng. I am the coordinator of the Asia Pacific Youth IGF, as well as the program directors of NetMission.Asia. Every year, NetMission train their ambassador, and then we've been actively submitting workshop proposal to IGF, and it's the same this year. And so there are plenty of our sessions organized by alumni from our program, and they are all talented young leaders from Asia Pacific. So you probably will get the opportunity to meet them either online or in person. Well, but not to give too much details, because we have like a lot of like amazing sessions at the IGF this year. So I would definitely encourage you to check out the schedules online, and I'm sure a colleague from YCIGs and other, they've been putting so much effort into also helping youth to put in proposal to IGF every year as well. Not to take too much time from this meeting, I will let you guys know very briefly about what's the work NetMission's been doing. Since 2009, we started this online academy that provides capacity building to young people in Asia Pacific, and we've been changing this program to online mode since 2018. In fact, we are now recruiting some new members to join this online academy again for 2025, because every year we start these trainings in January, and then select some members will graduate in March, and so once they graduated, we'll provide them opportunities to organize the regional youth IGF, as well as participating at the APR IGF, which is the regional versions IGF in Asia Pacific. So we do offer this kind of opportunity for young people in Asia. So if you are you want to be more active in engaging regionally, I would I encourage you to check out our website. I will drop it in the chat later on because we have a lot of resources. But if you do have other commitment, because it's good that we're in our own role doing something, I would encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter because we try to keep young people in Asia Pacific more informed about regional and global opportunities, and there are chances where you can learn more about other working group that NetMission's working, because we try to also like do some research-based work or some other youth engagement work and other stuff in Asia Pacific. So if you want to be more engaged regionally, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jenna. I only confirm what Jenna said. The IGF Secretariat now traditionally participates in some of the NetMission activities, and especially sessions on internet governance. So it's a wonderful capacity development opportunity, which can really bring you into this IG ecosystem, I would say, as an active player. Good. And then I think this would be the last part of this segment before we open the floor to see if you have any questions. Ananda's mentioned already the youth standing group a couple of times. I know Joa is on this call, and I just would like to ask Joa if he has anything to add with respect to what the standing group will be doing at the IGF in December. And then, of course, later we'll speak about the beyond 2024 activities. I'm just looking if Joa is here. Yes, he is here. I see him.
Yeah. Hello. Well, I am. So what we are planning to do this year is to organize a gathering to us to all connect in the IGF. We will also have a booth in the space. So if you want to, and also we will start publishing the sessions that we have youth participants on it, so you can all join in what we are doing. And so, yeah, please reach me and all our group. I sent the link in the chat, so join there and chat that we can meet.
Thank you very much, Rob. Please, if you could, yes, indeed, post the relevant links. And it's going to be great if you are at the IGF Village. As I said at the beginning, if you are not in Riyadh and you cannot walk to connect with the standing group at their booth, there is an online virtual counterpart to on-site booths, and you are most welcome to connect to our colleagues through that mode as well. Good. I suggest we make a break or a transition. I would like to see if there are any questions, comments from you as participants, anyone else, before we go into the wrapping up part and speak a little bit more about after 2024 activities on internet governance and how you can be involved. We do have a couple of interesting colleagues with really important projects that we will be speaking. So please, if you would like to take the floor, raise your hand or post in the chat, and our online co-moderators will gladly read. Even if you just want to share your feedback and say a few words about what you've heard so far, that's always also most welcome, and we appreciate that. While you're thinking, I am due to just mention something that Nicolas reminded me of, our colleague from the Youth Like IGF in Paraguay, Uruguay IGF, where he told me to mention the toolkit. And that's a very important document if you are interested in your respective community to establish a national, regional, and youth IGF. There is a document that all the NRIs put together a few years back. I think it was more than 8 years ago. A very valuable document available in all 6 UN languages, which guides you step by step what's needed to do this. It takes a lot of leadership, a lot of energy and a particular vision. But once you establish it, my colleagues that are running the NRIs can confirm it's really an incredible mechanism for moving the community collectively forward in terms of harnessing digital technologies and making sure everyone has meaningful access and can benefit from the great potential the digital has. I don't see any hands raised. Yes.
Thank you so much, Anya. We have a question that was submitted earlier today. So someone's asking if you can talk about the zero events for this year's IGF.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So that's good. Terminology can be maybe misleading a little bit, but basically 15th of December is like a free day to the IGF because the official opening is on the 16th of December. But over the time, really, the day zero became an integrated part of the IGF, equal as any other day. There are a number of events there, even side events, networking events, social events that are available and indicated on the agenda. Open, of course, to everyone to participate. So I would say 15th of December, day zero, is basically a day that is equal to all other days. It's just that it is true when stakeholders are submitting sessions, day zero events do not go through a very structured evaluation as the regular days, sessions in the regular days do go, like especially workshops which are evaluated by the multi-stakeholder advisory group. It's a very competitive process. However, there is assessment and evaluation also for the day zero with specific criteria, just to make sure that there is a good quality of these discussions. So that's about the day zero. There is also the music night at the IGF. There are many receptions happening. Those are wonderful networking opportunities, as well as the bilateral meetings also happening. I see one hand raised from Love Day. So please, you have the floor.
Okay, good afternoon. Love Day from Nigeria, the co-coordinator for the Nigerian Youth Internet Governance Forum. I'm so much glad to be part of this session, getting to hear from fellows from other national and global initiatives, especially in the areas of the teenagers initiative on the internet governance space. Want to bring it to the notice that or encourage other national initiatives to further engage with the teenagers in the youth IGF activities. Like this year, the Nigerian Youth Internet Governance Forum was able to engage more keenly with the teenage group, and it was a very good expert session, having some discussions and collaborations with the teenage group, which cut across teenage members from several schools and several communities. So it was a wonderful session, and I wish that other national initiatives continue in that path, because the teenage group contributes more importantly to the internet space, and they shouldn't be left out in the activities and policy engagement of the internet space. And so going forward with the Nigerian Youth Internet Governance Forum, we continue in that drive to ensure that we have more engagement and ensure that we reach to the grassroots. So which I'm very much glad that this session has opened such discussion to further engage on global initiative concerning the teenage group. Thank you very much.
Laude, thank you so much, and thank you to the Nigeria IGF and the Youth IGF for active participation and facilitating a really good quality IGF, I would say, mechanism at the national level. I agree with you, inclusion is really important, especially inclusion of young people. That is our promise for a more sustainable, better future in terms of not just internet governance, but in terms of how digital really works for sustainable development. And I am indeed joining you in saying that it's really fortunate that we have so many young people that are enthusiastic across the world to work hard for good digital policy and also supported by other stakeholders who are now on the positions of decision making and decision shaping. So with that, there are a couple of comments in the chat. I try to respond to some. For the Lebanon and Arab IGF, to Dana, there is a Lebanon IGF, there is the Arab IGF. They also have integrated youth-focused components. So Dana, if you maybe reach out to me by email, I will connect you to our colleagues that are running those two IGFs, and then they can guide you from there how to engage in these processes. Good. I also responded to one question in the chat asking whether Roblox will be present and whether there are sessions which are focused on, I think, is it child online safety or similar topics. So I confirmed this, and I know Roblox will be present. We are very fortunate to have colleagues joining us now. Traditionally, really, they're very active in this sphere. And there will be a number of sessions where they are involved, either as organizers or speakers. This is featured on the program that you can see on the IGF website. And as I said, if you reach out to the Secretariat, we're also happy to give you this outline of activities. Good. We are entering the last 10 minutes. So I would like us to focus now on the long-term opportunities for staying or remaining engaged in internet governance. There are various really opportunities. I'm so happy, and I want to recognize that in the chat that we have Glenn McKnight on this call, who is running the concept of school on internet governance for years. It has wonderful modules developed, and I think he shared a few useful links on the chat so you can explore further that form of capacity development opportunities. Also, I thank Jolly McFive from ISOC, who is helping us always to spread the word about important work happening in internet governance, as he is really supporting the streaming. And I just want to recognize these very important colleagues who are of great support. So if there are no more further questions on this topic, I would like us, as I said, to chat a little bit about the concrete engagement opportunities beyond 2024. And in that sense, we have our colleague, somebody mentioned, I think, the concept of ambassadors. The Internet Society has traditional now capacity development program on called the ISOC Ambassadors. There are, I guess, various wording, but Tori is with us from ISOC, and she will be the best to tell us more about this program. I know for this year, the applications are closed. You have a cohort already, but I want to focus more on, what's your plan for 2024, but also long-term engagement of interested young people in this very valuable program. Tori, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Anya. I'm Tori Irvine. I run the Internet Society Youth Ambassador Program. So I put the link and our contact info already in the chat. So this is one of several programs that we offer at the Internet Society and is a global program for young people aged 18 to 30 interested in internet governance. Over 12 months, we equip fellows from around the world with the knowledge and skills to influence policies that defend the internet while innovating for a better world. But this is not just theoretical. Fellows use these skills throughout the program to advocate and make a difference in their local communities. For example, we're having a symposium next week where our 2024 youth ambassadors are organizing and speaking on panels on key internet topics. So you can find the registration link in the chat. We'd love to see you and hear from you at that event. We also send fellows each year to one in-person conference. So for example, as I mentioned earlier, this year we'll be sending fellows to the Africa IGF. I'll be there as well. So I'd love to meet anyone who's going there. And we'll be sending some fellows to the IGF in Riyadh to hone their internet advocacy and maximize their impact there. So please reach out to us if you'll be at either of those events. We'd love to meet you, get to know the fellows, and learn more about the program. But the best part about the program is that it doesn't stop when it's over. So once fellows finish, they are invited to join our alumni network. So I've seen a bunch of our alumni here today. This is a really amazing group of over 300 people and counting who have a wealth of knowledge and are having an impact in their communities around the world. So once you start to get to know us, you'll see us everywhere. We have our hands in everything in internet governance, and we'd love for you to join us in our work. So you have my email, the fellowship's email in the chat, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tori. It's such a robust and excellent program. And please, yes, indeed, if you could post in the chat more information so that colleagues can explore. Our multi-stakeholder advisory group is also focused on youth engagement. We have one member of the MAG, Saba Tiku from Ethiopia, who is running the MAG working group on youth engagement, and they have some exciting activities this year, especially. Saba, would you mind telling us a little bit more about your work and ways of engagement?
Thank you very much, Anya. I hope you can hear me. Glad to see everyone on this user webinar. Saba from Ethiopia and part of the MAG, and within the MAG, I co-facilitate the working group on youth engagement. So speaking of the working group, which is one of the newly approved working group by the MAG in this year, 2024, the aim is to support the MAG in developing actions to strengthen the youth engagement in the IGF and also to ensure their participation in the digital landscape. So it serves as a space to discuss and to support the MAG in its advocacy for youth engagement in the overall IGF ecosystem. So the overall, some of the programs that we initiated this year within the working group includes the youth webinar that we delivered together with the IGF Secretariat in the MAG on guiding and some tips onto the young people on how they should submit session proposals for the IGF this year, and also to be more involved in the overall program. And another program that we initiated as a working group is the IGF Youth Mentorship Program, which is co-designed with the community via our mailing list. And the purpose of this mentorship program is to advance and to grow youth leaders who are already engaged in the internet governance space to enable them to advance their knowledge and skills, careers, and so on. And so the program for this year has already started, and it's a wonderful opportunity for youth to interact with the MAG members. Of course, this program aims to be a long-term program and have continuity in the coming years as well for a long-term engagement of the youth in the IGF. So as a MAG working group, we do have a call from time to time, and we communicate via our mailing list. The working group is open to the IGF community to join, and you can do so by subscribing. Let me share, I will share the mailing list in the chat later. So these are some of the details about the working group, and thank you once again. Looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Saba, also for explaining more about really the valuable work you do, and I'm sure it will continue next year. So good to subscribe to the mailing list. I am, yes, indeed, emphasizing what Glenn, our colleague, said in the chat. It is so important, and it really comes from a person that is, his whole life involved in working with stakeholders, including young people from around the world in internet governance. So thank you so much, Glenn, for being here and for your comments, which are really contributing meaningfully. Let me see. I want to quickly see. We did hear before from Ananda, from Omar and Catherine, but I just want to see if you have anything else to add in terms of the 2025 activities. Although you mentioned quite some content, please let me know. You can maybe just take the floor and speak. But if you kind of exhausted your remarks during the first intervention, it's fine, and we have your contact so colleagues can connect with you better. Through the email addresses you provided. So I don't see.
No, you're fine. I'm just going to stress that, for any teens that are looking to get involved at the IGF or looking to get involved specifically that are under 18, the DTC Friends program is a great way to start understanding how the IGF works, Dynamic Teen Coalition, and just kind of the work that we're doing. And it's a great educational resource as well to ensure that you're going in as prepared as you can be, and that we're setting you up for success beyond Dynamic Teen Coalition. I know Amora has done amazing work, and we're on the rise and on track to do even more in 2025. And I am excited for everything that we've been able to do, and would love to share that with as many through our virtual platform as possible.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine, Omar as well. Ananda, also briefly from the YCIG side.
Hi, thanks. So it's like as Anna mentioned, what after the IGF, it is really important. And there are so many spaces that young people can engage. If you don't have any youth initiative within your country, maybe you can start your own youth initiative. There's a youth support from the IGF Secretariat. And if you want to start your own youth initiative in your country, maybe both YCIG, a youth standing group, and then like IGF Secretariat can help out. And if you are from Asia Pacific region, you can reach out to me or Jenna. We are doing a lot of work to activate youth IGFs in our region. And yeah, we are also hosting Asia Pacific Regional IGF next year in Nepal. If you are coming to Nepal, we'll really welcome you, and we'll also host Youth IGF Asia Pacific in Nepal. And there are other spaces. There are school on internet governance. There are regional school on internet governance that you can engage with. And there is a lot of activities. I think Tori mentioned about ISOC youth ambassadors. And there are many opportunities that we do in between IGF and then like next IGF. So you can just reach out to, there are many people who are active through Youth Track. Youth Track is a very dynamic platform which connects the Youth IGF coordinators from around the globe, and they're very super active. I think Nicholas is somewhere around. He's helping a lot of young people to be active in this space. And if for YCIG also, we have 5 different coordinators from 5 different regions. Soba is there, who is also on the MAX. He co-founded her own Youth IGF, and she is also part of YCIG. So like we have a lot of people both regionally and then like who can help you out to actually engage in this space. Just like don't be bothered to reach out, and like I think everyone is so helpful. So that is the thing. If there are any questions, maybe we can discuss. Thank you, Anna, for the space. And
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ananda. Well, colleagues, believe it or not, we are actually at the end of our reserved 90-minute slot for this webinar. It's been incredibly enriching and so many useful initiatives shared. There are some comments in the chat, which I will be trying to respond also after this webinar. So if you could also maybe quickly leave your email, or better yet, I will leave my email. You can send me the questions. But the one that I'm seeing now, whether there is an IGF Nordic youth group on IGF, we don't have national IGFs. National IGF, for example, in Norway. For Sweden, there is something similar. It's not a national IGF, I think, that's recognized yet by the Secretariat, but there's a valuable process there. But there is the European IGF, and I think it really bridges the gaps in terms of the missing national and youth IGFs. So I can connect you maybe for the start, to Eurodic colleagues, and then we can from there see to find communities that is in the targeted countries active. If there are no more questions, or somebody maybe would like to take the floor in the last 20 seconds, I would like to go back to Dua from the host country, because Dua, we are soon coming to you. So for your last words, before we conclude this webinar, and I use the opportunity to sincerely thank you and the host country for wonderful efforts invested, particularly in engaging young people from the region, but also globally, and ensuring that the host country in December creates really a welcoming space for everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anya. It's been my absolute pleasure working with everyone on this webinar, but also on our extended efforts over the past couple of months. So I'm really, really excited to see you all in person. Do feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you're going to be there in person in Riyadh, or if you need any help navigating the visa processes or any other logistical elements. We're more than happy to host you. And one thing about Arabs is that we're extremely hospitable. So it's my absolute pleasure to help out in any way that I can. And it was an absolute pleasure to meet all of you guys today, and wishing you a wonderful evening ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much to our colleagues. Once again, thank you very much for being on this webinar. We look forward to seeing many of you, hopefully in Riyadh. If not in Riyadh, then please connect online, explore national or regional IGFs next to you and be active there. Before we close the call, there is a raised hand from Ashikur Rahman. Rahman, if you would like to take the floor, please briefly, and then we will have to wrap up.
Thank you. This is Ashikur Rahman, currently working Bangladesh Youth Internet Governance Forum as a youth, and severally I am working with ecology conversation with wildlife animal, and I am very much concerned about trusted AI using in education section and human life. I have a concern in trusted education, trusted AI use by restriction in education by a transparent and explainable. Without understandable algorithms, AI decisions making process become more transparent, helping us to gain insight into how conclusions are made. So I think we all have to concern in these issues, how AI can be trusted in education section and how it can be controlled. If globally policy making can be solution. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Ashikur. I think you made such a good pitch for why it's important to participate in the upcoming 2 workshops of the youth track, which will be focused on AI, as well as the Global Youth Summit on 15th of December at the IGF in Riyadh. We will be looking indeed about the overall good governance of artificial intelligence, with implications on education, but also other areas which are important, not just for young people, but generally speaking for everyone who is connected or even not connected to the internet, which is another layer of concern that we have and we really want to address. So let this be maybe my response, Ashikur. We will be having several opportunities to address this, and I warmly invite you to subscribe to the youth mailing list, be active in these workshops and the summit, as well as other sessions at the IGF, which will be hopefully providing comprehensive multi-stakeholder response to the concerns that so much of the global community shares with you. With that, thank you so much. I think we will need to conclude here. We are 5 minutes over time. It's been wonderful. I wish you a good rest of the day or evening, depending where you are, and hope to see you soon, ideally in person. Please stay connected over the internet that so wonderfully is enabling us to be closer than ever. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of the day. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.